Hello, everybody. Welcome to the YNTAAY minis, starring Chris and Blackie. I'm Chris, and this is Blackie Humphrey Gladstone III. And today we're here to honor EastEnders, the hit British soap opera that is turning 35 years old today. Can you believe that? Why, that's, I'd say, almost 6 times longer than Blackie's been around. Now, it started on February 19th, 1985, and it was created by Julia Smith and Tom Holland for BBC One. And it has an amazing theme song, doesn't it, Blackie? And a year after they did the show, they released a single with words to it sung by the show's star at the time, Anita Dobson. And I'm going to sing a bit to Blackie if he doesn't howl. Anyone can fall in love. That's the easy part. It just keeps on going. Anyone can fall in love. Over the years, it just keeps on growing. And it goes on and on. But if you know EastEnders, that is so not the lyrics to a song about EastEnders. It is a show with lots of death and violence and grim realities. Oh, it makes me feel so good. Now, Blackie, who are some of your favorite characters? Of course, I am absolutely obsessed with Mick and Linda. And Mick and Linda are like the lead couple to me right now. And they run the Queen Victoria pub, the Queen Vic. And, okay, do you want down, Blackie? Now, Mick and Linda are having problems right now because Linda has become an alcoholic. And Mick is worried that it's going to endanger their young son, Ollie. So they're having terrible problems. And their pub was just named Pub of the Year. So they won a party boat trip down the river, and everybody's on the boat, and wouldn't you know, this week for their 35th anniversary, there's a disaster, and the boat is sinking. And Blackie and I watched the Monday episode from the 17th in bed. Oh, this is my EastEnders mug to celebrate. Isn't that amazing? And we watched it last night, and we were riveted. Linda's foot got stuck because she was trying to climb up on something down in the bottom of the ship, in one of the kitchens. And wouldn't you know, there was an explosion or something. They hit something, and everything fell over, and Linda's foot was stuck. And then water starts pouring in. They're evacuating the boat, and Mick comes and finds Linda. And when I last left them, they were stuck, and Linda was getting perilously close to drowning. Here's one of the ads promoting the 35th anniversary. Oh, I love the show. I won't claim to be an EastEnders expert because, I live in the U.S. and it's sort of spotty trying to watch it. I keep up reading books. Here's the EastEnders 20 years in Albert Square. Of course, 15 years aren't there. The first 10 years, I've read that one. EastEnders, the inside story. This is fascinating reading. Anyone who wants to read up on TV shows being created by Julia Smith and Tony Holland, This is the official version by the show's creators, and I highly recommend it if you can find these. The EastEnders special. Here's Albert Square. And so it's hard to sometimes watch it because I don't get BBC One, of course. I don't subscribe to BritBox. And BBC America stopped carrying it years ago. We used to watch it on BBC America. And it was so convenient. And then, of course, they stopped carrying it, so then you have to watch it online, and if you watch it on YouTube, it's all shortened and spotty, and sometimes the sound goes out, and you can watch it on other things, which I won't tell you how because they'll be like, that's how they're getting it, and they'll stop it. Remember when Max Branning was going to jump from the Queen Vic and his daughters, Lauren and Abby, tried to stop him, and they fell off the Queen Vic, and Abby ended up going into a coma, and she died. What about Cat and Alfie? I was all about Cat and Alfie back in the day. Was just mad for them. Who else? Oh, so many people I love on this show. Okay, one of my new favorites is Karen Taylor. When her whole family, the Taylors, came to town, it seemed like there would be trouble, but I just love them. Of course, who can forget Pat Butcher and Peggy Mitchell and their cat fights? They had a great friendship, but they also were bitter enemies, and they would get into cat fights. And one time they were like, slap, slap, you bitch, you cow. I just loved that. And of course there's Shirley Carter. Mick thought that she was his sister, but she turned out to be his mum. And Cat Slater, I love her. Of course, Denise Fox. Remember when she became homeless and was wandering around Walford and didn't tell anyone that she was hungry and she was eating out of garbage cans? Very strange story. Oh, what was that lady's name? Well, anyway, she died, and I was devastated, so devastated that I blocked out her name. Here's a little thing saying, with people who are on board the boat, and who will live and who will die. Oh, of course, Big Mo, love her, and Doc Cotton. Doc Cotton is everybody's favorite. Now her granddaughter Dottie is on the show. There was a love triangle between Whitney and Callum and Ben Mitchell. Of course, Callum and Ben Mitchell are the ones who ended up together. And poor Whitney got a stalker. And Mr. Truman. And, of course, Denise Fox Hubbard. And look, EastEnders does this strange thing. Whenever they introduce a family, they'll bring like 10 new characters all at once. And this is when the Carter family came to town. Of course, Shirley was already part of the story. But then they brought all these characters all of a sudden. It's like, what? We don't do that here in our shows. And it's just not as realistic as because families do move to a town together. Here's the Slater family. Remember when Zoe and Kat were in a fight, and Kat forbade Zoe to go away with Uncle Harry, who had molested Kat, unknown to anyone in the family. Well, I think her parents eventually found out. And then Zoe was like, "You ain't my mother!" And then Kat was like, "Yes, I am!" That's a classic moment. Here are the Slater women later. Jean Slater and Stacy and Kat and Big Mo. She's the grandmother. The Mitchells, the late Peggy Mitchell and her sons, Phil, and what's the other one's name? I'm having mind farts right now. But yes, what about that love triangle between Phil and Sharon Mitchell, and of course Keanu Taylor, who's much younger than Sharon. Well, not much, but they began an affair, and now she's pregnant, and she's about to give birth this week in the 35th anniversary episodes. And of course, here's the Taylor family. Remember how I told you all those people come at once, and they all came. Here's more Taylor family members. Oh, now this was one of my favorites. Pauline Fowler. She was a beloved mother of the Fowler family, but Martin's mother, and eventually they just made Pauline so harsh, and she died of some sort of aneurysm or something right in the snow, and her little dog was like, "Arr, arr, arr," and she's collapsed there in the snow, and everybody's outside the Queen Vic having a snowball fight. And then Dot Cotton sees her friend Pauline laying there, and it's like, Martin! Martin! And he comes running and is like, Mum! Mum! Oh, so sad. I always like to watch all the death scenes on EastEnders, and they have the best cliffhangers, and they call it the duff-duff because the music is like, boom, 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 boom. And then, after the big cliffhanger. And so they call it the duff-duff. The aforementioned Cat and Alfie, I was all about them back in the day. Remember when they were trying to make love for the first time, and he ran all over town trying to find a condom, and there was a robbery, and the robbers at the convenience store took all the condoms, and then he finally got one, and it fell in the river, and oh, it was a big old mess. Pat Butcher, known for her earrings. She was married many times, but I always just called her Pat Butcher. Albert Squares, beloved by anybody. Martin and Stacy, they've been having hard times. And of course there's Ian Beale on the show since the very beginning, and his mother, Kathy Beale. She looks like she could be his sister. And she's been on the show since the beginning, but she was dead for many years. They don't do a lot of comeback from the deads on EastEnders, but Kathy was one that they had killed off in a car accident. And then they brought her back. And it's not like on Days of Our Lives where everybody's brought back after you see them laying dead on the morgue table. Dirty Den, Sharon's father, he came back to life and then got murdered. But yeah, EastEnders is a little grittier, a little more realistic than the American soaps. But we love it, and we wish them happy 35th anniversary. So, from me and Blackie, cheers to you, EastEnders. Have some wine, Blackie. No, it's not good for you. Did you see? Look, he's licking his lips. Did you all see Blackie's little shirt? It says, I'm wearing nothing underneath this shirt. Marco got it from the web, and I just love it. So I need to get him one that says EastEnders. So, happy anniversary, EastEnders. Cheers.